shoftim. The haftora of shoftim continues the series of haftoras of consolation from the Navi Yeshayahu. The haftorah begins, Anochi, Anochi, hu menachemchem. Anochi, the Rabboni Shalom, God says, I alone am your consolation. I am the only one who will comfort you. The whole thrust of the Navi is that the Jewish people always seek comfort and consolation from strangers, from outsiders, from the rest of the world, from false values and false ideas. And they think somehow that will bring them to a spirit of achievement, of consolation. And God says that at the end of time, at the end of days, Anochi, Anochi, u'menachemchem, the Jewish people will realize that only God comforts us. Only the Lord is the one that comforts us. We find this phrase, Anochi, Anochi, a number of times in the Navi Yeshayahu. The Navi says, Anochi, Anochi, regarding the erasing of the sins of the Jewish people. Anochi, Anochi, mochep shoecha lamani. So the double use of the word Anochi has that meaning. It means I alone, not just me twice, but it means exclusively, I alone, and no one else. There was a good ad in today's announcements that was from a caterer that says Hasidic meats used almost exclusively. Right. So God here says exclusively, right? Not almost exclusively, but exclusively. Anochi, Anochi, hu menachemchem. Niat vatiri me'enos yomus. Therefore, who are you? Who are you means better here, what is with you? Why are you afraid from mortal man? Me'enos yomus, from man that dies, from man that from his first moment of life is already doomed to death. Umi ben odom chotzir yinosein, and from man who is will be like the grass of the field, who is given as the grass of the field, which flourishes and withers and dies. So what are you afraid? Of whom are you afraid? Well, no, this basic idea is that he who fears God need not fear anyone else. All of us have fears, and all of us are destined to have fears. So then we have a choice simply of what we fear. Our rabbis point out to us that in life generally, that's how God assigned it, that all of us have to bear burdens. The choice is only what burden do we want to bear. All of us have problems, but to a great extent we can choose the problems. So too, everyone has fears, but the one who fears God, then the other fears are not present. The other fears waste away. And Mendelovich in his book describes that when the KGB major in the camp threatened him with death because he would not remove his yarmulke, so Mendelovich told him that he's not afraid. He said, go ahead and shoot me. And when the major realized that it was not bravado, so he put the gun away and he said to him, Mendelovich, how come you're not afraid of death? So he said, I am not afraid of death because I know it comes from the hand of God. He said, you are terrified of death because it comes from the hand of Brezhnev. So that concept is echoed here in the Navi. And God says to the Jewish people, I will comfort you. Don't be frightened. There's nothing to be afraid of. Fatishkach Hashem osecha. Look what you have done. You have forgotten the Lord who has created you. Out of your fear for man, out of your willingness to accommodate other ideas, and to not look silly, so to speak, in the eyes of others. So therefore you have purposely forgotten God. What God? Note Shamayim v'yosei oretz, the God who has established heaven and earth, the God of the universe. the God whose exalted greatness can be seen in every facet of nature. And you are frightened all day because of the anger, because of the terror, of the oppressor. That's what you're afraid of. Right? You're afraid of the PLO. You're afraid of your enemies. Asher konei lahashchis, and that they are prepared to destroy you. So how do you expect to escape from that if you have forgotten me? Va'ayei chamas ameitzik. God asks a rhetorical question. Where is the anger, the fury, the terror of the oppressor? He can't do anything to you unless I give him permission. He can't do anything. He's powerless. So I am the one that you should deal with. Now this is a very strong imagery. Mihar tsoel liposeach. This oppressor that you're afraid of, he is human. He is mortal. He is limited. So why are you afraid of him? Soa is someone that goes bent over. So he describes here. He describes here in a mocking fashion, that the greatest of strongest of men. So they have natural needs, right? They have to go to the washroom. They have to go to the bathroom. He's mortal. He has to open. Who is he? V'lo yomus lashachas. He has to, all his physical needs have to be met in order that he should not go down in the grave. V'lo yechsar lachmo. And he cannot go without bread. He is dependent upon me, so what are you worried about him? The rabbis have told us the legend that Moshe always met Paro, the king of Egypt. He met him in the morning when he went out to the Nile River, because Pharaoh declared that he was a god, and therefore he was a god. He never had to eliminate waste products from his body, etc. So he was a god. So there were, millions of idiots that believed it. But he wasn't a god. He was human. So he would go out in the morning. He had a private place, and Moshe would meet him there. So in a sense, that's really what cut him down to size. It's what equalizes all human beings. It's that constant reminder of our mortality. And the Jewish philosophers speak of it in those terms, that our bodily needs are a constant reminder of our, because otherwise man would truly think he's immortal. Man would truly think that he's a giant. Man would truly think he can do everything. But because of the fact that we have our mortality built in within us, so that's a constant reminder. So who are you afraid? You're afraid of mortals. You're afraid of human beings. You're afraid of people who have to eat and drink and sleep, have to eliminate waste products. That's whom you're afraid of. But I am the Lord your God. I'm the one you should deal with. If you deal with me, you don't have to deal with them. You want to save yourself the trouble, so to speak, deal with me. Roga hayom vayehemu galov. Roga, who quiets the sea. And at the same time, vayehemu galov can make its waves storm. If you ever had the occasion to see a storm at sea, it's a very frightening thing. When I was in Miami Beach, so there were 3 times we had hurricanes that hit Miami Beach head on. They didn't have any for 35 years before I came there, and they haven't had any since I left. But in the 9 years that I was there, they had 3. So I would always 2, 3, 4 hours before the hurricane hit, I'd go out on the beach to watch the ocean, and the ocean was like someone had lit a fire underneath, the way water boils. The entire ocean was just one seething, boiling, tremendous, disturbed body of water, and then tremendous waves come crashing in. That's Vayehemu Galo. Rabbanu Shalom, God says, I'm the one who has set up this. I quiet the sea, and I stir it up. Hashem Tzvokot Shemo. God is the Lord of hosts. That's his name. He does whatever he wants. The strength of nature is such that it makes everything puny in comparison. There are statistics that in lightning bolts, there's enough energy that could light the city of New York for months in one lightning bolt. And the force of nature, the earthquake that the West Coast went through not long ago. So it's not even comparable to what man is puny in comparison. And I have chosen you, and I have put my words in your mouth. I have taken you, the Jewish people, and I have put my words in your mouth, meaning I have taught you the Torah. I have made you the standard bearers of civilization. And I have covered you with the shadow of my hand, with the protective cover of my hand. That's the imagery of God's protection over the Jewish people, how the Jewish people survive. This has been transformed into the prayer that we say on the Eilah on Yom Kippur, Yachtienu Tzel Yadecha. May you hide us in the shadow of your hand, protect us. Lintoa Shamayim V'lisod Oretz. And I have made you partners with me, to stretch the heavens and to plant the earth. The Jewish people, all of mankind, are partners in creation. The Gemara mentions that many times, that the person that does an act of justice or an act of truth, the person does a moral act, becomes a partner to God in the act of creation. It has a cosmic effect. It's not just good and evil in an abstract sense, but it is an act of creation itself. The Lamor, God has come to tell us, L'Tzion, to Zion, Amiota, you are my people. In other words, what are you afraid of? I'm here with you, right? You have to deal. You're going to get away without dealing with me. You are my people, and I insist on dealing with you. This also is creation, that the chosenness of the Jewish people is a godly act, and it is one that need not be explained rationally, and it need not even be understood, but it's accepted by Jews as a fact that the Jewish people have a special role in history, a special destiny, and that because of that, everything that happens to us is different, special. Hisoreri, hisoreri, rise up, rise up. Hisoreri means like to wake oneself up. In Hebrew, the word for an alarm clock is sha'on me'orer, a clock that awakens. Wake up. People are like in a deep sleep. They're in a stupor. You have to wake them up. I have people in shul that the moment I mount the stair to walk up, they're out already. You know, I didn't say one word out of my mouth. But they're conditioned like Pavlov's, right? They're ready. So God also has an audience that sleeps a lot. They don't hear him. So he said, Hisoreri, awaken, get up. Kumi Yerushalayim, comes, rise Yerushalayim. Yerushalayim is always personified in the Tanakh. Yerushalayim is always personified as a widow, or as a woman who has been deserted, or as a sad sack, someone that had terrible things happen and somehow can't put it together. So Kumi Yerushalayim, rise. Asher shosis miyad Hashem es kos chamoso. That you have drunk from God the cup of his anger. You have consumed God's cup of anger.